my name is Kayla.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Read Lair Rewinig, a YVC Library podcast. It's been a while. We've had to re-record this a couple of times, but we're back here just for you guys.
So excited.
We hope you've missed us. We've missed you.
Absolutely.
Today we'll be talking about Lucy Undying by Kierstan White. Very good. I'm sure you've heard of it. And let's just get right into the first question because I love this book and I'm ready to talk about it. And the people who didn't like it are wrong. Anyways, continuing. Did you notice any similarities between Lucy Undying and the original Dracula?
I would say yes. Mainly because, my man's gets a few cameos here and there. I'd say yes.
And I also noticed that the styles of writing in Dracula and Lucy were, pretty...
Very similar.
Yeah, similar. They would incorporate letters and they'd go back in the past. And I just thought it was really good. It really read like another Dracula book.
And it flowed so good from what they were trying to
It was amazing, honestly. I feel like if Bram Stoker were alive, he'd be like, you know what? Yeah, this is pretty good, assuming he wasn't homophobic. But he was alive a long time ago, so we don't really know that.
Debatable.
Do you think, speaking of Dracula, do you think Dracula and Lucy Undying specifically is inherently evil?
Yes.
More like, I was gonna is he just the creature he was made to be? Can he be a monster if he was never human to begin with? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because there's a line where characters are evil, and then there's some characters they're not human.
Yeah.
They were born. I'm not saying obviously Dracula wasn't spawned from the primordial pits, all right?
Sure, yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was what he was turned into, or what he was made. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think he has the potential to not be a complete
evil
monster.
Yeah.
But obviously with his actions and all the people he turned against their will,
he won't be.
But I just think it's an interesting thing to think about. Because what characters are just inherently evil? You know what I mean? Moving on to some different characters, we'll talk about our main characters, Lucy and Iris. Do you think they kind of mirrored each other as characters, kind of like foils almost?
I feel like they were so similar but so different when it came to plot.
I agree. They had similar aspects in their personality. They had an overbearing family. That was the one I was looking for. Yeah. They had an overbearing family. They had a situation they wanted to be out of. They didn't feel like they were in control of themselves. So it's almost like they're the same character, but in different time periods with different, motivations. Yeah, not only that. We eventually get them together. Pointed by how Lucy, decorated her room, how it was described as all, clean and white and,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, you're a vampire. Can't we just add some pizzazz to that? But yeah, no, I do think they're pretty similar, aside from fashion. Anyways, let's go more into Iris. What were your thoughts on, the weird cult lifestyle brand her family ran?
I think, obviously, I'm not going to name drop any cults here, but I think the cult life that Iris was in meaning so many similarities to some of the cults we see in modern time.
Yeah,
which I thought was such a good twist on the book because as a reader, I could look at that and go, "Oh, I've seen something like that in my day."
Just reading about it, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's kind of freaky. It reminds me of this book I read from Mona Awad where they got their immortality or good-looking skin from these weird jellyfish creatures.
Fair enough.
It was definitely a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
It was definitely a moment. Yeah, I really liked the integration of the cult, though. I thought it was interesting to the story.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to more of, the themes of the book. The feminist themes in particular. What did you think of them?
I ate them up.
They were great.
I was going to say they needed to rise up, but...
Rise up. I actually really liked where... You could tell there was a story there. It's about these women. They're trying to break away from their families. They don't want to be. They didn't want their bodies to be controlled. And I feel like.
And I get it.
I don't want to go knock it out of the park and saying it's a feminist masterpiece because obviously it's not perfect, but it's a good feminist piece of work.
I would also like to bring it back to kind of the cult question. You could take that and relate a lot of that to what's happening present day.
Yeah, and the treatment of women as well.
Women's rights, what's going on in the climate, if you will. Once again, we could relate that to modern time.
That's true. And I think that the author made that intentional. Now, let's get into another character, Mina. As you know, in the original Dracula, she was kind of she wasn't a bad person, let's just say that. In this book, she's drastically different. If you read this book, then you know what I'm talking about. Now let's go into this. This is spoiler territory. I mean, a lot of this is already spoilers, but like this is like spoilers. But as you know, Mina completely like dunked on Lucy, turned everything against her, she made the lifestyle brand that Lucy, Iris's cult mother ran, and just betrayed Lucy and used her for her own gain and kept her bedridden and sick. She was just a complete monster when she was supposed to be Lucy's friend and the person that Lucy was in love with. And I was shocked, to be honest, because it was so far from the original rendition of Mina. What did you think of her portrayal? Like, why do you think the author wrote her this way?
I think you mentioned that you were shocked. Mm-hmm. I think you being shocked is so funny in a sense, because it not like funny like I'm laughing at you, but it just shows the different genres being made as a whole. Like, I don't think you suspected it. I don't think you sussed it out.
Especially since I was relating it to the original Dracula. I'm like, they're not going to do Mina dirty. And then Mina did the dirty.
Yeah, I was not shocked. I kind of I had a feeling. Yeah. But you know when you have a feeling and you're like, I don't want this to be what's going to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I think she was out this way, honestly. Maybe even shock value, but I think not only that, it adds to Mina's character.
That's true. It kind of makes her more than like a one-dimensional, like, just Lucy's friend.
Yeah, I felt like I was going to mention that. I felt like she was very one-dimensional.
And we love a female villain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not this female villain in particular, because she's being rude to other females, but you know what I mean.
We love
Let's go back to Lucy and Iris and their overall romance. Do you think it was fleshed out enough? Because one of my gripes with the book was the romance. And I love this book, don't get me wrong. I feel like the romance could have been more, but what do you think?
I feel like then could have been more, and I hate the way it ended.
Yeah, I don't like the way it ended either. Like, we'll get into that after we wrap up the questions, how the ending was, and kind of discuss our thoughts. But I feel like it could have went in a different direction. Obviously, I'm not Kierstan White. But no way. I'm just like, no way. I'm an author in disguise. Take off the wig. Like, their romance was cute. It could have been better. You know what I mean?
It was very elementary.
It was. But anyways, moving on from them, do you think there's potential to continue their story in another book? And I guess we can talk about the ending now, because we're talking about the book. Obviously, with what they decided, and we're going back into spoiler territory, they're like, oh, we'll just live forever until we hunt down Dracula and kill him, and then we'll, like, die together. Do you think they can continue that in another story, or do you think there's not enough substance there?
I feel like, in a sense, when do we sit down and ask ourselves, when is enough? Like, when... Because, like, you honestly might pick it up. You honestly might be someone to be like, I'm going to pick that up and I need it. Yeah. But, like, I'm going to be honest with you, what drew me to Lucy Undying from the get was the cover. Then it was the description. Then, it was the first chapter, and I kept on reading after that because it was a chapter by chapter protagonist kind of thing. I honestly, when do we wake up and decide when beating a dead horse? And in this case, beating a dead Dracula.
We're talking about beating a dead Dracula this is just one book. I mean, agreed though. It's really easy to beat a dead horse with a sequel.
I mean, have we seen Twilight?
We have seen Twilight, but like,
when is enough?
I don't think enough is ever enough. I'm all for sparkly queer vampires.
She's greedy.
I am greedy. Like, I want to know if there's a way she can make the second book interesting and make it so they don't have to die when Dracula dies. I would eat that up. Like, why not? Why can't he just die and then they're like reverted back to humans and they live out the rest of their natural life?
Because then they're like old and wrinkly.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like, once he dies, they stay the age they're at and then they start aging. Like, you know how Lucy was stuck at like 19 or whatever?
My thing is, like, do you really think?
Well, no, but I can be hopeful. I can have some joy in my heart. I can wish. Like, I'm just saying I would have ended it differently. I'm very much a happy ending girly. What was your favorite scene in Lucy Undying?
I was gonna say it was the Mina scene.
Oh my god.
I feel like the way that was gonna end it so beautifully.
That's true. It was a good, like, gotcha, like, reveal scene.
Like, even though I suspected it and I felt it, it wasn't... The whole book in a whole wasn't written so beautifully, but, like, the suspense leading up to it, and then, like, the reveal, if you will.
The reveal.
So beautiful that I wasn't even mad. I wasn't even mad at the villain. I was like, okay.
I was like, you know what? Female villain, let's go. Yeah. Click, clack, click, clack. I feel like my favorite scene is going to be very telling of who I am as a person. And I feel like I'm going to say it and Hannah's going to look at me like, of course it is. Towards the beginning when Lucy was with his other wives and they were just killing men and like having their little sapphic love fest. All right? It was amazing. Why couldn't I be there?
I will say the ending was also so beautifully, and even though it was kind of like heart-wrenching.
Yeah, the ending was sweet. It's just, I wish they didn't focus on their whole lives hunting down this man. I wish they could have lived for themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. They want to prevent him from hurting other women, but like...
But you know what they say, what's life if you don't have a man?
Would you recommend Lucy Undying to others?
My fun fact was I debated buying you the physical copy for your birthday.
Oh.
But I ended up with my other go-to.
I'm still excited to read that.
My other go-to sapphic book, A Dunk and Surrounding Tide.
It looks very good. I'm very excited to read it.
And they're Jewish.
One
of them is Jewish. But yeah, this was obviously, we both read this off NetGalley and had to wait until it came out to do this podcast.
And review it.
Review it. Review it. But yeah. Yeah,
I'd also recommend the book to the others. Like, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodread. I ate it up even though the ending kind of, like, threw me. But I'm also a very generous rater. Let me throw that out there. I'm a very generous rater.
That's fair.
But I liked it. I ate it up.
I will say I'm not a very generous.
No, she's not. You should see her Goodreads reviews.
My Goodreads.
She tears them up.
Oh, yeah, and every single book is getting them.
Like, every time I read one of Hannah's reviews, I'm like, oh my god, this author is, like, biting her fist and crying right
It's either a hit and a miss, I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah.
But Lucy Undying was one of my favorite 5-star reads of the 2024 season.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I'd recommend it.
I also would recommend it, but you already knew that. Do you have any closing thoughts before we say goodbye to our adoring fans?
You guys should vote. That would be so swagadocious.
That would be so, like, hot sexy if you guys would vote. Like, please. I think most ballots are shipped out by now, but we still haven't got ours.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten ours.
But if you got yours, you should vote. Yeah. It's very important. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye for now. Thank you for listening, and as always, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Kisses.
Bye.
Bye.